Integrity means correctness. Integrity means honesty, correctness. That is the meaning. Okay. Now, whenever you have any kind of a rule in the business, and that rule has to be implemented in the data also. For example, when you create employee table, employee gender can be either male or female. So gender column cannot accept any other data except male or female. So you have to restrict yourself to accept only those two values. Okay, that is a business rule. Now, if you join in any company, now as a fresher, the age cannot be more than 25 years old. But when you enter your date of birth, so you may enter 25 May 19, say 85 you're supposed to enter. Instead of 1985, HR enters 1885. That means you are almost 100 years old again. That means what? Whenever you make any wrong entries, somebody has to audit the data. So RDBMS will give us lots of features. With those features, we can audit the data. So we have check constraints. Okay, so let us understand all these are few examples where whenever you insert the data into a table, the data must be correct data. So employee ID, department ID, passport number, driving license number should be unique. You should not have duplicates. Okay. To ensure this, we have primary keys and unique keys. So all those things will ensure that no data is duplicated. Transaction amount cannot be negative. So whenever you have a negative amount in the column, that cannot be a true value or the right value. So you have to restrict saying that transaction amount is greater than 0. The transaction date should be the same as the current date. Grade A employee salary should be less than 5,000. Grade B employee salary should be greater than 5 and less than 10K. Project ID can be 1, 2, 3, 4. Why 1, 2, 3, 4? Because I have only 4 projects. If some employee comes and says me, my ID is 55, then it is definitely a wrong data insertion. Okay. Account holder in a bank cannot make more than 3 transactions. Account holder in a bank can withdraw only 25,000 rupees per day. All these are different business rules which you have to implement as part of the data. Because whenever you insert the data in a table, the table takes wrong data automatically. The wrong data or wrong output you will be able to get it. So the whatever goes in is wrong, automatically comes out is also wrong. If you get any wrong data from any application, the end user will hate that application. Okay, so always any application must have the right data. But how do we ensure that any application will have right data? So using what is known as business integrity features. So if you make any mistake as a human being, you have a right to do the mistake. But SQL Server or Oracle or DB2 will not allow those mistakes when you have these kind of features enabled. So what are the features we are going to understand now? We are going to understand null, default, primary key, unique key, foreign key, check constraints, checkers. Okay, all these are the features which will ensure data integrity, data correctness. Even though end user who's inserting data may enter a wrong value, but these features will audit the data. These features will try to correct yourself. Okay, try to correct the data, and which will give a error message saying that your data is incorrect, please check. Okay, so that means what? RDBMS always takes right data only. Okay, so this is also a unique feature in RDBMS. So before we learned RDBMS stores data, but now I am saying RDBMS always stores right data. So there is a huge difference between storing data and storing right data or correct data. So this is known as business integrity. To insert, update or delete a data in SQL tables or in Oracle tables, make sure that the data is correct. If the data is incorrect, then definitely SQL Server will not allow those incorrect values. If your employee date of birth is entered as 1885 as a year, then definitely SQL Server will say that there is a wrong entry there. Okay? So let us understand how can we implement these features and how can we ensure that any person or any data entry operator who's inserting data, then they need not worry whether they're inserting the right data or wrong data. SQL Server will ensure that they have to insert the right data. Otherwise, SQL Server Oracle will give error messages. Now let us understand what is a null value. Now, a table can have a mandatory fields. A table can have null fields. For example, I'm going to take a employee table. So employee ID I have, then I have employee name, then I have employee salary, then I have employee hobby. Okay. Now these two are mandatory fields and these two are optional. Optional means which will allow null value. So now one, say Ram, salary is 1000 rupees and hobby is null. He did not fill in anything. Two. So now two, we have Lata. Her salary is as of now not decided and she did not fill this. Like that, when you fill any data, the data will accept sometimes null values, sometimes they don't accept null values. If columns which are not allowing null value, these are mandatory columns, these two are optional columns. Okay, optional columns means you may enter if you want to, or you need not enter. If you don't enter also, what happens? Automatically null will be inserted. Okay, but these will not allow null value. Okay, so now let us understand what is a null value. Represents unspecified value. For example, hobbies, mobile numbers, all of them are null value. Storing null values as part of the table is bad. Okay, avoid storing null value, replace it with default value, because null value is good for the end user. Why? Because he need not fill all the data. He will give only the first two values. The remaining two he will say null. So for end user it is good, but SQL Server it is bad. Why SQL Server it is bad? Storing null values as part of the table is bad. Why? Okay. Now the answer is, when you store any null value here, then when you want to perform a arithmetical operation in a SQL Server, 1000 plus null will become null. So you will get, the total will become null for you, because any value plus null equals to null. So when there is a single null value also, you cannot perform arithmetical operation in SQL Server, which is very, very dangerous. Or when you have a string value, when you want to perform some kind of sorting algorithm, I would like to sort the data in hobby. When there is a null, sorting operation cannot be performed, because null means unspecified value. How do I sort? So hence the storing null value as part of the database is very, very bad. But what should I do? If instead of null, if user is not supplying, you put some default value. So instead of null, you put 0. 0 is the default value. 0 is the default value. Now if say 1000 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0, you will get 1000 rupees here. Okay. Now if somebody says, instead of keeping, hobby as null, you can say no hobby. Okay. Or I am not applicable. Some value you have to put. So instead of keeping, you put what is known as a default value. No hobby is the default value. If they have some kind of hobby, they'll write it here. Okay. So instead of null value, you put this kind of values. These would improves the performance. So whenever you perform an operation, this would be able to do that. So this is what is a null value. Okay, storing null values is bad because you cannot perform arithmetical operations, you cannot perform sorting operations, all of that. Okay. Following ways in which we can provide default values in a table. So you can give constants. I told you just now, I showed you. For salary, we gave 0. For a string column, We gave no, hobby, not applicable, all of them. Okay. You can also give price into quantity. I have a price column, I have a quantity column here. We can have a total. For example, I have a product ID, I have a product name, I have a product price, and I have product quantity. I have a total amount call. Okay. Now here what I do is I say price into quantity. I write an expression. The expression will store the value. For example, I say 1 pen. We know the price is 10 rupees, the quantity we have 12. Automatically 120 will get added here. The 120 is nothing but a default value. Default value is created using this expression. Like that, you should be able to do many things there. You should be able to do many things there. Okay. Now this is a table. In this table, you should be able to, this is price, this is quantity, this is need not be filled by the end user. Automatically should be able to fill. Now like that, we can also have functions. Okay, you may not be able to understand what is a function, but slowly you would understand. You can write, get date is used to insert the data value. Whenever you do cash deposit, cash withdrawals in ATMs, we never give any data. Automatically data is included using a function. So default values are very, very important in your tables. Now let us understand the key. What is a key? Key means an attribute which will give you a unique values. Here employee ID, passport number, DL number, all of them are candidate keys, and out of which you have to choose one key as the primary key. Here we're talking about employee table, so employee ID would be primary key. But if this is the passport department, then definitely passport ID would be a primary key, not the employee ID. But if it is a RTO office, then definitely DL, driving license number, would be primary key. So the primary key would change, depends upon the domain to domain, depends upon the business to business. So primary key is employee ID. You have alternate keys to passport number, DL number. These two would become alternate keys. So candidate keys equals to primary keys plus alternate keys. So let us understand what is a primary key. Primary key ensures uniqueness, no null values. Whenever you create a primary key, automatically a clustered index gets created. So we are going to discuss about clustered index, and so don't worry about the third point. So only one primary key per table. You can have a composite primary key. Primary key is not mandatory, but which is recommended by SQL Server, recommended by Microsoft, recommended by Oracle. Okay, you can have only one primary key per table. Now, what is alternate key? Alternate key is known as a unique key, ensures uniqueness, allows null value. How many null values it allows? Alternate keys, only one null value. Auto creation of index, non-clustered index, it's going to create. So we discuss this point later. And many unique keys per table. Okay, so in interview they would ask what is the difference between primary key and unique key. Primary key only one per table, unique keys many per table. Primary key does not allow null value, unique key allows only one null value. Okay, so these two are very, very important points we have to cover. Now I have a department ID, I have a department table, I have an employee table. Okay. Now, these two are two independent tables. Now, if you see 1006F is department ID is 99. I have department ID 1 accounts, 2 purchase, 3 marketing. No employee can have a non-existent department ID. This is invalid data or incorrect data. Why? Because nobody knows about the departments. They wrongly entered, HR wrongly entered some department unknowingly. But even though HR enters the department number, wrong number, but SQL Server should not allow. So when you create a primary key and foreign key, then these kind of issues will not occur. So the department ID of a parent table would become a foreign key. When you create a primary key and foreign key, that is known as a referential integrity. When you create a primary key and a foreign key, and so when you enter 99 here, then what happens is this is a foreign key. Which is a foreign key? The department ID would be a foreign key here. The department ID foreign key, when you enter 99 here, the 99 will be taken here. It will compare. Is it 99? No. Is it 99? No. Is it 99? No. So it will give you another saying that 99 department does not exist. I'm going to delete entire row. So SQL Server automatically deletes this row when you have a primary key and foreign key relationship. Okay. Now, how do you create a foreign key? Foreign key can be created using a primary key. So this is a primary key. This primary key can become a foreign key here. Okay. Now primary key will not allow any duplicates, but foreign key allow duplicates. You have 2, 2, 3, 3. Okay. So there is an interview question. Does foreign key allow duplicates? The answer is yes. Okay. How do you create a foreign key? We can create a foreign key using a primary key, or you can create a foreign key using a unique key also. Unique key also. Now, one more question people would ask. Does foreign key allow null values? Does foreign key allow null values? So let us understand this question. So we discussed about does foreign key allow duplicates? The answer is yes, it allows many. Yes, many duplicates. Okay, next, how many FKs per table? Okay. How many FKs you can have per table? The answer is many, but in SQL Server you can create up to 999 foreign keys per table. Okay, foreign keys per table, there is no problem. The next question is, does foreign key allow null value? Now what is your answer? Should it allow or should not allow? Does foreign key allow null value? The answer is yes, which will allow many null values. So it has to be. Why? Because, for example, you think like this. When you join in a company, you will be there for a training for a month. So for the first month, you will be having what is the department ID for you? The department ID is null value for you. So it has to allow a what is known as null value in foreign keys. But many people think that foreign key will not allow null values, but that is wrong. Foreign key always allow null value. I'll give you one more example. I have a employee table. Okay. Now I have employee ID, I have employee name, I have manager ID or my boss ID. Okay, so these three are the values. Now employee ID is a primary key, and here employee ID would be a foreign key. That means what? This is a foreign key because manager is also an employee, and this foreign key is linked to this primary key. So this and this now related. Okay. Now this foreign key is linked to the primary key. Now the foreign key and primary key, both of them are available in a single table. Then this employee table is known as a self-referential table. What do you mean by self-referential table? Okay, self-referential table. People would ask this question many times. Self-referential table. What do you mean by that? A foreign key is referring its own table's primary key. Its own table's primary key. Then the table is known as, the table is called as self-referential table. Okay. So it is very, very important for you to understand. Okay, a foreign key is referring its own table's primary key. Then the table is known as a self-referential table. For example, you take employee ID 1. So let us take Ramoji Rao. Ramoji is the Inaudu group. So he's the boss. He does not have any boss because manager for the Ramoji Rao, nobody will be there. So it is a foreign key should allow duplicates. If you say, sir, foreign key should not allow duplicates to Ramoji Rao, he will say get lost. Because any technology should support business. Business never support your technology. You have to be very clear. If you think that foreign key should not allow duplicates, then you're stuck in this. You will say, Sir Ramoji Rao, according to me, you're supposed to have a manager ID. But Ramoji say, I don't have any manager, I am the boss for the entire company in order group. Okay, so you have to be very clear. Foreign key never allows, foreign key allows duplicates. So two is Ramadevi. Who is Ramadevi? Ramoji's wife. She says, I don't have any boss even. I'm the boss for the company. I'll say Kiran. Kiran is the son. Say for Kiran, boss is Ramoji Rao. So 4 we have, Krishna. Krishna is one more guy he joined. For Krishna, 3 is the boss. Who's 3? 3 is like that. You can have foreign key can have a boss here. Okay, and so you have Ravi is also joined. For Ravi, the boss is 2. Like that we can have. Then you have Bill Gates joined in this company. Okay, for Bill Gates, no boss. Now when Bill Gates joined, the Kiran is reporting to Bill Gates. Kiran is reporting to 6 now. So like that, you should be able to change and update and you can insert. So here you have a lots of null values in the foreign key, and this foreign key is referring its own table's primary key. Then this entire table is known as a self-referential table. Okay, now sometimes you may have manager ID 1 and manager ID 2 also. Why manager ID 2? If this manager is on the leave, then who will be your next manager? That is manager ID 2. Okay, now manager ID 2 is also a foreign key. Now if 6 is not there, and who will be your boss? So here null, and here you have again null. Okay, and 6 is not there, 1 is the boss. If 3 is not there, who's the boss? 2 is the boss. Like that, you can have many number of foreign keys. Now this is also one foreign key, and this is also one foreign key, and this is referring to this, and this is also referring to this. One table can have many number of foreign keys. The max number is 999. Okay, so and for Ravi 2 is the manager ID 1. If 2 is not there, who's 2? Ramadevi is not there. He's supposed to report to 3. Okay, like that you can have. Okay, for this guy, null value. So like that you can have one table can have many number of foreign keys, and this table is known as a self-referential table. Okay, so now does FK allow null values? The answer is yes. Okay, and does FK allow duplicates? The answer is yes. Okay, all of them, it's very, very important. Okay, can we create FK using unique key? The answer is yes. Okay, using primary key or unique key. Okay, one can create FKs, so there is no issue. Okay, so you have to be very clear on this. What happens if the department ID changes? 1 became 11, 2 became 22, 3 became 33. Now here you will have 1, 3, and the department ID here and here does not match. Okay, or what happens if one row is deleted here? So marketing is deleted here. So what happened to this 3 and this 3? Okay, so that is what is known as a cascading features. What if primary key, unique column and parent table changes? What if a row in the parent table is deleted? Solution is cascaded update and deleted features. So what happens is when something got deleted here, cascade update and cascade delete. Okay, cascade update, you will have two options. One is on and you will have off. Okay, by default, this is the default behavior. This is the default. That means cascading update off means when you update any data here, when you update anything here, when you update 3 to 33, no changes will happen here. Okay, but if you cascade update, make it on, when you make it 3, when you make 3 becomes double 3 here, now automatically all 3's will become double 3's in the child table. So this is cascading update. If you cascading delete make it on, so what happens is by default it will be off. Cascading delete, if you make it on and delete this row, so what happens is all corresponding, wherever there is a 3, entire row gets deleted. This row 1002B3 and 1005E3 gets deleted. So these two are called cascading update and cascading delete features. Okay, cascade delete. So this will have two, one is on and one is off. So this will be a default value. Okay, if you make it off, no action is carried out. If you make it on automatically, if there is a change in the parent table primary key, automatically the action is carried out. Updation or deletion is carried out. Okay. Now there is a interview question people asked. Can we apply cascade features in self-referential table? Self-referential table. Okay, can we do this? The answer is no, because when you do in self-referential table, what happens? Automatically, if all the records gets deleted, because one is linked to another one. If you delete this one, another one is linked. The another one, so entire table gets emptied. So can we apply cascading features in self-referential table? The answer is no, it cannot be applied. This is an interview question. This is what is a primary key and foreign key. Foreign key, you can have many number of foreign key. Foreign key allow duplicates. You can have self-referential tables, and foreign key can be created either using a primary key or using a unique key. Now check constraint. You will have column level check constraint. You will have table level check constraint. You can have multiple check constraints per table. For example, let me take a employee table. Now I have employee ID, I have employee name, I have employee salary, I have grade, I have employee gender, employee grade, employee salary. Now when I have this table, I have to restrict lots of values. Employee ID 1, say name Bhaskar, and gender male. Grade, I belong to A grade. A grade salary is supposed to be less than 5,000 rupees. So my salary is 4. So to say Ravi, Ravi is M, and it belongs to B. B is greater than 5,000, less than 10,000 rupees. This is also perfect. But when you enter, say some XYZ name, and here you enter some Z. So Z should not be accepted. Gender column should accept either male or female. Here we have to create a check constraint. How do we create a check constraint? That is very simple. Gender equals to M, or gender equals to F. Okay, like that you have to create a small expression. If you create expression, this expression is known as a check constraint. Okay, so gender equals to M, so we have to create like this in single quotes, and gender equals to F. Okay, so when you create this simple expression, what happens is which will not allow any kind of other values other than this. Okay, this is a check constraint on the column level. When we enter like this, the entire row will not be accepted because it contains z value that will be deleted by the sequencer. Okay, grade also can be either A or B. You cannot have grade cannot be K. If somebody enters by default a grade equals to K, which will not allow. You have to say grade equals to A or grade equals to B. So when you create a check constraint on a column, that is known as a column level check constraint. So if grade equal to A, the salary is this much. If grade equals to B, salary is this much. So you have to create using both. Okay. So then this is known as a table level check constraint. What is table level check constraint? You have to create a check constraint depends upon two columns. If grade equals to A, salary this much. If grade equals to B, salary this much. Okay, like that. You can have many number of check constraints and many number of column level or table level check constraints. Check constraints are faster and there is a restriction which will allow only following operators. Whenever you write an expression, you will always need to use only those operators. Does not support programming. If else loop cannot be used. It always works within the same table, cannot work with across tables. Grade column will be in one table, salary column will be another table. So you cannot compare. You go to that table, see the grade, come to this table, see the salary and compare. So that cannot be done using check constraints. Okay. Use check constraints when the requirement is simple, else use for the trigger. Check constraints are faster in performance. Okay. When check constraint cannot do its job, why? Because it is complex. When it is complex, then it cannot perform a job, then you have to go in for the trigger. So whatever check constraint does, trigger also does the same thing, but only the difference between check constraints and the trigger. Check constraint also will validate the data, trigger also validates the data, but use triggers for complex requirements, use check constraints for the simple requirements. Okay? So check constraints are always faster because which will not allow heavy programming, which will allow always very small this kind of operators. Okay. Now identity property automatically generate 3-digit employee ID for each new employee in the employee table. So if I wanted to create an identity property, so identity property can be set for integer or decimal columns. And the seed and increment will be there. Integers and incrementers will be there. Only one column per table. No null value. No default values are possible. Unique values will be there. Be aware of gaps. So if you want to have automatic numbers in your employee table, so employee ID 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, you would like to have those kind of numbers, then you have to go in for say okay, so let me delete this. So you create what is known as a table. The table is supposed to have employee ID, then employee name, then employee salary. Okay. Now here you need to have 1, 2, 3 like that. You're supposed to get it. So when you want to have it like this, so you have to create what is known as this as an identity property. Okay. So here you have to say this is identity. Okay, when you say this identity will have two properties to be set. What is the first property? A seed. So you have to have a seed. Seed means a start number. Seed means what? A starting number. And you need to have what is known as increment. Okay, increment. So when you say my seed is 1 and increment is 1. So what happens? The first number will be 1, the increment is 2, 3 like this. When you say the seed is 10, then increment is minus 1. Then what will happen? So you will get 10, 9, 8 like that, 0, minus 1, minus 2 like that. Okay. Now you can also have say increment is minus 3, minus 2. Now seed is minus 2. Here also you can have minus 7. So you may have minus plus values, but you cannot have a decimals 1.2 as a starting number and increment as a 2.33. So this cannot be allowed. Which cannot be allowed? The decimals are not allowed. So this is invalid. Okay, this is also invalid. Okay, so decimals are not allowed. So if you have increment can be seed will starting number can be a negative integer or positive integer, or increment also can be negative integer or positive integer. No decimals are allowed. Only one column per table. So automatically, when you fill in this data and this number is automatically inserted by SQL Server. You need to insert this and this. You need not insert for EID. So EID will be taken care by the SQL Server. So you need to insert only this and this, this and this. When you insert this and this, automatically one unique number will get added by the SQL Server. Okay. So this is what is known as business integrity, and now this is what we discussed so far. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask. So we discussed about what all we discussed. We discussed about all these things: null value, default value, primary key, unique key, foreign key, chicken soup, triggers. Okay. We have a separate topic called triggers further coming days. But because for writing triggers, we have to know many things. So I'm not discussing about triggers now. But I told you triggers are there to validate the data. When chicken strand cannot